Um, I figured the only real way to talk about NFL free agency, especially when there's going to be so many signings, trades, things of that nature, was to do it in real time. And so, if you are a fan of the NFL, there is no more exciting time than right now, right? Yeah, if your team was in the Super Bowl, you were excited. But right now is when teams build and add and subtract in order to be in the next big game. So, man, excited, man, about this time as a Baltimore Ravens fan, but as a football fan, I'm really anxious to see who does what. So, as we get into this thing, man, as a Baltimore Ravens fan, we lost our first free agent as it pertains to what I've seen coming through my feed. Draymond Jones is signing with the New England Patriots. Uh, Draymond Jones is a guy that the Baltimore Ravens traded for last season, and I thought he did well. I thought he could be a guy that they could retain. But after the Baltimore Ravens added Max Crosby via trade, you kind of could see that some players would be on their way out. And so Max Crosby is going to the New England Patriots. Um, so, Baltimore Ravens fans, what do you think about losing Draymond Jones? Is it much to do about nothing? Or do you think it's a significant ordeal? Right. So as I'm looking at the feed, man, for the Falcons fans, whoever and whenever they hear this, the Falcons are reported to be interested in Tua Tagovailoa as he is reported to be released this week, if not already. Now, here's what's crazy, right? I think personally, Tua will be an amazing fit in Atlanta. Number one, Tua is a leader. He's not the rah rah type, but he is a leader. And I think the Atlanta Falcons team will follow him. They have some young weapons, they have a nice offensive line, and most importantly, Atlanta needs a quarterback. You know, they tried to go get Kirk Cousins a couple of years ago, and then they also signed or drafted, excuse me, Penix, but Penix has stayed hurt. And so you don't really know what he's going to be, especially after having multiple knee injuries. And so being able to pick up Tua, if you guys are really interested in that, that would be a really good signing for the Atlanta Falcons. And I think that the reason why I think it'd be a good signing for the Atlanta Falcons is pretty simple. He's accurate. He can throw the ball anywhere on the field, but it's indoors. Atlanta plays in a controlled environment. So he's never going to really be subject to bad weather if he's playing at home. And then the other benefit is, well, let me do it this way. The knock on Tua had been that when you get him out in the cold weather, he turns into a different player. So, for an example, playing in the AFC East, he would have to go to New England. He would have to go to New York, play the Jets. He would have to go to New York also and play Buffalo. And many people had began to count those as three automatic losses in um, the division. And then let's say if he was playing or the East was going to play the North like they did last season, then you're going to look at going to Baltimore possibly, going to Cincinnati possibly, going to Cleveland, all cold weather games potentially. And so it just didn't fare well for Tua. But going to Atlanta, Atlanta fans, please hear me. Get on the phone with your owner, say, hey, make this signing happen. I think that being in a controlled environment, Carolina is not always cold. New Orleans is rarely ever cold. And then Tampa is rarely ever cold or cool. So you're looking at 9, 10, 11 games per year where Tua will be in fairly good weather. And so you can't really complain about that. And he would be in the NFC, which means he probably has a greater chance of playing in better weather conditions, even outside of the division. So, man, I think that it could be a great signing for the Atlanta Falcons. They got a lot of young talent. They got a good offensive line, and shoot, Bijan Robinson, um, Drake London. I think he could instantly make them a competitor in that NFC South, man. So shout out to the Falcons, man. If you make that thing happen, let's get into the Miami Dolphins. Miami has absolutely been dumping salary, moving on from players, man, and so they are absolutely moving on from everything and anybody. They are absolutely in a rebuild. I seen it titled a reset, but the Miami Dolphins are absolutely in a rebuilding situation. And listen, shout out to Miami for knowing when it's time. Some teams try to stay in something too long, try to make something shake for long periods of time, and it doesn't work. And so when it doesn't work, man, you got to know it. And if you give that quarterback a contract extension, you better know he's the right guy. I think that the Miami Dolphins was kind of, let's say, forced, right? Tua's market value was what it was, and with that being the case, you kind of have to either pay or go back into the draft and get another quarterback. And so they paid him. It didn't work out. Some injuries to Tua, but also some other players. And so, man, they're getting rid of everybody. There was even a little bit of rumor that Jalen Waddle could have been available, and he may still be. He may still be available. I think that they'll try and keep Waddle, especially if you're going to go with another quarterback. He has to have somebody to throw it to. But they traded Nika Fitzpatrick a little earlier today. I cannot remember who he went to. I'll see if I can find that. They, of course, released Tyreek Hill. Of course, releasing Tua. They released Bradley Chubb. I mean, anybody who had a name on the back of their jersey could get it down in Miami. And so Miami's cleaning house, man. So we'll see, man. We'll see how long it takes them to rebuild. But I think that creates an opportunity for them to go and get a guy like a Malik Willis. Now, you may be wondering why you're talking about Miami so much, because they made the biggest moves this all season as it pertains to change, right? And but I think they could be on the table for Malik Willis, especially if they keep Jalen Waddle and they rebuild quickly. I think that they could be competitive. Let me say it that way. Uh, looking on my looking on my feeds, I see the Raiders are signing cornerback Eric Stokes. Good signing. Good signing. He signed a 3-year deal. Good money. 3 years, and it looks like he's going to be signing that deal for $30 million. So 10 million APY, man. That's a solid deal for a guy with some high end potential. Let's see who else. Let's see what else is on this feed. Expected to sign. Mm, okay, okay. Another report validating that the Falcons are expected to sign. Okay, so that's a little more progressive. They're expected to sign Tua Tagovailoa. So it looks like the young guy, Michael Penix, who did get hurt, of course, this past season, looks like he may be on the bench looking. And I think they'll be able to sign Tua for a good deal, that being the Falcons, simply because uh, um, he still owed a lot of money from the Dolphins. And so, um, hey, they could get him for a low end deal, man, and continue to build. Reports saying Travis Kelsey is looking to or expected to return to the Kansas City Chiefs. So looks like he may put in one more year down in Kansas City. Still looking on the timeline, the Falcons. Our busy team, they signed a wide receiver, Zacharias. Um, Probably pronouncing his name incorrectly, so forgive me. I think that's all of the reports I got right now. Let me hit refresh so make sure I don't forget anything, miss anything, and we'll see where we are. All right, so um, I think it's going to be a big time off season, right? My team, Baltimore Ravens, um, absolutely made a big deal, pushed a lot of chips into the table in order to get Max Crosby. Some of the Baltimore Ravens fans did not like the move. Some of the Baltimore Ravens fans love the move. And so for me, if I can be honest, I think that the Ravens made a panic buy, right? I think that they did not wait until the tampering period started to see if they could have gotten one of the top of the market edge rushers, a Trey Hendrickson, a Jalen Phillips, maybe even a reunion with Odafe Owe. I think Max Crosby and Trey Hendrickson, I think it's a wash between who's better. But when you look at career, comparisons between Crosby, Jalen Phillips, and Odafe Owe, there is no comparison. And so uh, I'm not mad at the deal. I think that I've been critical of Baltimore Ravens GM Eric DaCosta, saying he was quiet. My thought was, what is he behind the scenes cooking up? And then here he comes out with this big time move, getting Max Crosby. I think Max Crosby does a few things for the Baltimore Ravens beyond just go sack the quarterback. One, I think I think Max Crosby gives the Baltimore Ravens an instant bona fide leader. And I think that's something the Baltimore Ravens had been lacking holistically, not just from a defensive context and not just from an offensive context, but I think the Baltimore Ravens had been missing a leader, especially one who's vocal, one who can get it done with his play, but will also open his mouth and call you out to your face, not try to do it on Twitter, not try to do it on Instagram, not try to be passive aggressive, but he displays the type of disposition that I believe the Baltimore Ravens have been needing in-house for a long time. Maybe not to the level of angriness as a Terrell Suggs back in the day, but he definitely is a no nonsense type of guy when it comes to ball. For everything I've heard, good dude, and as great of a football player as he is, he's a better person. So excited, man, to have him in house. I think that the Baltimore Ravens gave up a lot. And so I think this has to be a win now type of season. The Baltimore Ravens, I believe, are going to have to um, today, even tomorrow, Wednesday, get some offensive linemen in house to make some things shake in the run game, in the pass game. I think they're going to have to figure out what to do with that second spot at wide receiver. Did hear some news this morning, or maybe you call them rumors, that Rashad Bateman could be on the trading block. So the Ravens are going to be busy this offseason, sounds like. And so I'm here for it. Let's see. I think that when you look at the NFL all around, I think that the champs, the Seattle Seahawks, I do believe they have the greatest chance to repeat. They have a number of free agents. Let me go over here to ESPN and pull up another feed, see what we can see. Um, but it looks as if they're going to return a great portion of the guys they wanted to chip with. And then their free agents, they do have some money to resign some of their free agents. And then, based on what you've seen, they're going to draft well. And so I think they have a chance, man, to kind of be right back in the same exact position, or at least fighting for the same position they just were in, and that's the Super Bowl. But also in that division, the Rams made a big time move. Last week when they made a trade for Trent McDuffie, And then not only did they trade for him, they didn't play with him. They didn't play with that guy's money. They turned around and made him the highest paid cornerback in NFL history, from what I can tell by his deal. So it sounds like he's going to be an integral part in what they're trying to do. It was definitely an all in move. I think they can recognize that Matthew Stafford probably has one or two great years left, coming off the MVP. Puka has already stated that he wants to retire from football at age 30. So he has about 4 or 5 good years left. Well, not just good years, but he has 4 or 5 great years left, or the potential to be great. And so I think they're going to try and maximize that opportunity. Sneed, I got to give him a shout out, man. He has been a general manager to consistently say, forget those picks. We going for it. And they definitely went for it. When you have the defensive front that they have, a lot of young players who are not on max deals, you can absolutely spread that money around and give out some big contracts to other positions, and then figure it out when those young thoroughbreds, Fisk and Verse, come due up front. And so looks like the Rams are gonna be have something to say to the Seattle Seahawks in that NFC West. The 49ers were a playoff team from last year, and um, I don't know, man. I think that the 49ers are going to have to hit reset at a lot of positions. Um, everything we've heard from the 49ers is that Brandon Ayuk is done. So either they're going to release him and put him on the street, or they're going to try to make a deal um, to move him on to a new team. It's going to be interesting to see who takes on his big contract, especially with him not playing last season. Uh, Everything we've seen from him prior to last year, he's a good receiver, but we just have to wait and see. So I think that as I'm thinking about the 49ers, I think a natural signing that they're going to make happen is to get Joey Bosa, and not for his pass rushing acumen necessarily, but because it'd be really cool to see those two brothers play together out there in San Francisco. And so I think they're going to try and make that happen. Now, of course, they can use his edge rushing for sure, but I think it's more of a storyline as well. That trade I talked about, that trade I talked about earlier, that was Ninka Fitzpatrick that was traded to the New York Jets. That's who the Miami Dolphins traded Ninka Fitzpatrick to. So man, he's been like a yo-yo, man. He was in Miami, went to Pittsburgh, back in Miami, and now he's on the move again. And I don't really know what the Jets are going to do with him, right? Of course, I know they're not going to trade for him and then release him. So it's definitely going to be, you know, a place he sticks with for sure. But um, if I'm Fitzpatrick, man, I'm gonna want to be somewhere where I can win. And New York Jets, this is no bang on them or nothing. But sometimes, man, when you go to New York, specifically the Jets, that's where your career go to die. And so I hope Fitzpatrick can make something happen out there in New York. Let's see here. Got some news. The Pittsburgh Steelers make a trade. They traded for Michael Pittman. Wow, big time move by the Pittsburgh Steelers. Man, I really hate that as a Ravens fan over here in Baltimore. That's just another big receiver who we have to go and defend. So it looks like the Colts. Now, I think this leads into the Indianapolis Colts re-signing Alec Pierce. So I think they had to move Pittman in order to make room contractually for Alec Pierce. So I'm predicting that Alex Pierce will be back with the Indianapolis Colts. But man, I really hate that. I really, really hate that over here in Baltimore. Just when we think, okay, we got an edge rush, now we can get to the quarterback. Now we know 100% we have to upgrade our secondary. Um, I like Wiggins, I do, but he's small. He has good height, but he is short as it pertains. Not, excuse me, he is thin, and he tends to get pushed around by bigger receivers. And there are none bigger than Michael Pittman. And so, man, really hate to hear that and see that happen. My goodness. You guys let me know what you think about the Pittsburgh Steelers trading. Steelers fans, stand up. Let me know what you think about Michael Pittman coming to Pittsburgh. That is insane. That is happening. Um another another news report that let's see what we got here. Malik Willis is headed to the Miami Dolphins. Just what I said a few minutes ago before this report pops up. Malik Willis is going to the Miami Dolphins. Shout out to Malik Willis, man. I don't see the nature of his deal. I will recap some of this tomorrow in the morning when I go and look at some of these signings. But shout out to Malik Willis, man, for getting his bread. A dude who was drafted. It's crazy because when he was in that draft class, he was projected to go in the first round. And if you remember that draft, no quarterback went in the first round. And Malik Willis was ended up drafted by the Tennessee Titans in the third round. Moved to Green Bay, played well when he got a shot in Green Bay, and now here he is going to the Miami Dolphins. And in fact, as it pertains to Malik Willis, many people had projected and thought that he would end up in Pittsburgh. And I believe that that would have been a solid place for him to land, especially with them just getting Michael Pittman. But I think that they're going to go Aaron Rodgers. That's what I believe is going to happen. I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to bring back Aaron Rodgers. And why wouldn't he? Why wouldn't Aaron Rodgers go back with those two weapons? And just like I thought, a report comes through that Alec Pierce is staying with the Indianapolis Colts. So that makes sense with the Michael Pittman move, and then Alec Pierce comes right behind. The report comes out that he is going to stay with the Indianapolis Colts. Man, it is hectic trying to read two feeds. I built a personal feed to filter some things. I'm gonna have to rebuild it tonight to get more intrinsic, and then I'm also watching the ESPN feed also. So, man, lot of things happening. Let's see what else we got. Let me see what else I missed. Let me run down ESPN really quick and see what they got going on. They got the Willis, talked about that. Let me see. Who is this right here? Uh oh. Get off my screen. Got these pop-ups. That's why I built my own feed because I got these crazy pop-ups. My feed don't have any pop-ups. So let me see what we can refresh this. And let's see. Seen an offensive lineman go somewhere. Let me see if I can track that down for you guys. Free agency. Let's see here. Come on, come on, come on. Here we go. Mm-mm. Yeah, you definitely won't be able to get. You definitely won't be able to get every single one. Just it just moves too fast. The New York Giants are acquiring who? 3-year deal with tight end. Oh my goodness. I kind of knew it. Isaiah Likely from the Baltimore Ravens is heading to New York, reuniting with uh, former head coach John Harbaugh of the Ravens, now head coach of the New York Giants. Isaiah Likely is headed to New York. Shout out to Isaiah Likely. I don't see the terms of his deal. I will bring that. I will bring that as soon as I. I just do it tomorrow in the recap of today's signings before everything get popped off. But Isaiah Likely from the Baltimore Ravens going to the New York Giants on a 3-year deal. Wow. Let me see if there's some terms right here. See, signing a deal. I don't see the terms yet. Mm, no, I don't. I don't see the terms. Wow. Okay. Okay, Isaiah Likely, I see you. But you know what though? Many of us, well, not me. I didn't believe he would return at all. In fact, but but many people thought that he could possibly return to the Baltimore Ravens. I didn't think that he would. Um, I didn't think that he could return. I didn't think he wanted to sit alongside or behind Mark Andrews for another year while the Ravens figured out his value and his worth, and so he decided to get gone. And you can't really blame him, man. He's young, talented, athletic, yards after the catch type of dude, and he just had a bad year in the context of getting started with a broke foot. It set him back, and then he just. I don't think he ever really found himself. Um, as it pertains to you know getting off to a good start. Bears made a signing of a defensive lineman. It's changed before I could see it, but I think the Bears are going to try and make some moves, especially after signing DJ Moore. You can expect the Bears to go into the draft and get a wide receiver. You can absolutely almost book that they're going to get a wide receiver, another one in this year's draft. We already know that Pittman goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're re-reporting that. Let's see here. So, man, a lot of moves. I'm gonna take a break and just talk to you guys about what's happening. The Vikings are signing um, cornerback Pierce. I'm not sure who that is. I'm not familiar with his name. But Vikings are making a signing cornerback Pierce. Um, I'm waiting to see who breaks the bank. I'm trying to think like I don't expect like Trey Hendrickson top of the market to sign today. Not necessarily. I don't expect Jamel Dean unless he's already signed and I missed it. I don't expect him to sign anywhere today. Um, Anxious to see what that likely deal looks like. Top of the market. Waiting to see what David Njoku gets. Because I guess likely would have set the market of the free agents of the young talent. So waiting to see what he gets. Let's see what else we got coming up on over here. Let's see. Okay, I think we're caught up with all the most recent signings. Let me go down a little further. Uh, let's see. Okay, hold on. O lineman Simpson signing with the Baltimore Ravens. Let me see who this is. I wonder is this Simpson from get off of my these pop-ups, man. Let's see here. Let me go down and find that article right quick. Let me see. Is that Simpson we had a couple of years ago that we let walk and now we're bringing him back? I bet that's what that is. I can't even think of his first name, but he played well this year though. But this, I guess, it's the kind of move that we're in for. The Ravens are signing offensive lineman John Simpson. Yeah, yeah, signing John Simpson, bringing him back to the Ravens. Provide some guard depth. Not sure if he's gonna be a starter necessarily. Well, I guess what they're paying him, I guess he will be a starter. Yeah, $30 million deal. What in the world? Is it three? I think it's 3 years, $30 million. So yeah, so looks like John Simpson is coming back to the Ravens. It looks like he's going to be one of the offensive lineman starters. Not my preference. Not my preference, but I can't complain. The Baltimore Ravens had a terrible offensive line last season, and so bringing him back, I guess, is the right thing to do in some aspects. Maybe that's the best, or not the best, but maybe that's the best deal they could find for a starting level interior offensive lineman. Man, that's not my preference. It really ain't, but it is what it is. I thought we could have got a wide Tiller. I mean, it's not over. It's definitely not over, but typically, um, your initial signings are kind of your best signings. And so, what the world? All right. So, it's whatever. Let's keep it moving. Let's see if we can find some more news. Let's keep scrolling, keep scrubbing these articles. Mm, yeah, we've already seen that. So let me know, Baltimore Ravens fans, what you think about the Isaiah Likely going to the New York Giants, which I think it could have been expected. I think you'll see a couple of more Ravens leave and go to the Giants as well. I believe this leans into the Ravens being able to try and keep Charlie Kolar, I believe, um, because I think that whatever Isaiah Likely got, Charlie Kolar is below that for sure. And then I think the Baltimore Ravens will get one tight end in the draft. But we'll see. Let's see. Mm, no need to no need to get that. That's just a resign and not citing at all. Let me see. Jets sign. Okay, Jets sign defensive end Osaya. So here's the thing, or Osai. Here's the thing with the Jets, man. They got rid of a lot of big time players, and but I guess they just been in a consistent rebuild as well. The Jets are one of those teams, man, that are kind of interesting to just watch how they do business, because you don't really know, man, how that thing unfolds when when you when you when you watch the Jets do business to keep it to keep it um to keep it nice. Um so looks like, man, a little bit of everybody has made moves around the league. Nothing major. I think the biggest move I've seen is the Miami Dolphins releasing Tua Tagovailoa and signing Malik Willis as his replacement. Interested to see what his deal comes out as. I think that it could be something um life changing. I mean, anytime you play in the NFL though, right? The money's life changing, right? If you make $1 million a year, that's life changing money, especially if you are, smart and diligent, and you don't buy 50 cars and that kind of thing. I think that it's life changing. Shoot, $250,000 a year is life changing money if you're spending it right. But I think that Malik Willis could have signed. I'm interested to see what his deal is, only because I think it should be generational money, family changing money, where everybody can eat, not necessarily off of Malik Willis, but uh, it can elevate the entire family. Another story for another day. Let's see. What Hadn't seen anything from the Browns, hadn't seen anything from the Bengals as it pertains to in the division. Um, Hadn't seen anything from the Detroit Lions just yet. And I'm naming these teams only because these are teams who were big time competitive teams a couple of seasons ago and then took a step back. Haven't seen anything from the Chiefs just yet, other than Travis Kelsey planning to return. Let me see who else. Hadn't seen anything from the Chargers just yet. I believe the Chargers are going to land Tyler Lindenbaum if he wants to go over there and put up with that crazy jock tax in California. But I think they have a whole. And I don't listen. Here's what's crazy, right? Thinking of cap space, the Chargers got like $90 million of cap space. I'm not sure how. Derwin James is one of the highest paid safeties in the league. And Justin Herbert is one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. So unless everybody else is just on rookie deals, I know Alt, one of their tackles, is on a rookie deal, and then the other guy is on a rookie deal unless he's a free agent this year. But maybe they just drafted well and have been coached well and spent their money well. But I'm not 100% sure how they got that much money and they were in the playoffs last year, but hey, they were. So shout out to the Chargers, man, for doing business like NFL business should be done. I'm interested to see as I'm thinking about it. Oh, wait a minute, another signing comes through. Let's see if there's something we want to talk about. Hmm, hmm. Mitchell Trubisky is signing with the Tennessee Titans, so not a lot to talk about there. The Titans need a backup quarterback. Trubisky is a backup quarterback, and not a lot to say about that deal in particular. Let's see, but let's go division by division since it's on my mind, and we're talking about all of the NFL free agency stuff. I'm gonna put these signings away for a minute. Let me close this feed and let it give it time to refresh. Let me get over here. All right. So when we're thinking division by division, right? Um, the division that I am most focused on when I'm on the ball perspective, and then starting, the other channel is the AFC North. And right now, the Pittsburgh Steelers were the cream of the crop, basically. It came down to a missed field goal and they won the division. And I think right now, I think you still have to put the Pittsburgh Steelers at the top of the division. Ravens at number two spot, Bengals number three, and then the Browns in the fourth spot. Basically, how it finished last season. As a Ravens fan, I don't want to elevate the Ravens to the top because I don't want to put too much expectations on this team until I see how it's completed when it comes to roster building and what things we do, throughout the rest of this week. But I think it's going to be competitive. I think the Bengals will have something to say. I think they're going to do some things in free agency, and I think that they will make some noise. I think if the Pittsburgh Steelers bring back Aaron Rodgers, and I really think that's the only option, unless they go with somebody like a Mac Jones from San Francisco, but San Francisco has already said they're not trading him. I think they're going to have to go back with Rodgers, which I think makes them competitive, especially with the big trade they made earlier today. So I think the AFC North is going to be super competitive, and we're just in day one of the tampering period. When you look at, let's go AFC East, it's clear that you got Buffalo, who made a big time trade, bringing in DJ Moore, which I think absolutely upgrades their passing game over what they had last year. I think he may be a great mentor for a young guy like a Keon Coleman who sometimes can't seem to find himself. So I think the Buffalo Bills will be right back competitive again, no question. I even think they re-signed Connor McGovern, and so I think they're going to keep a good portion of their offensive line. And then, of course, you got the draft beyond free agency. But they did trade Teron Johnson. I believe they traded him to the Raiders, and so they're probably going to be in the market for a cornerback. But there's cornerbacks out there, so I think that it's going to be a two-team race. It's going to be interesting to see what the Patriots do at the wide receiver position. I do believe that the Patriots are the team to beat out for a wide receiver like AJ Brown. I think it's a natural fit. Drake May has the big arm. He's pretty accurate. And he got to hold on to the ball, could put it on the ground. But I think that AJ Brown would change life. Then they got Booty, and then I think they could be a dark horse. Quad as is kept for a trade like a Brandon Ayuk out of San Francisco. I think it'll be a low end, low draft capital if they make that kind of trade. I think they're going to be able to get AJ Brown from the Philadelphia Eagles for probably a third or fourth rounder because I think it's just time to change the game down in Philadelphia. It's just been too much noise with AJ Brown, and I think he needs new space and place to play, and they uh, need new receivers down there as well. So I definitely think that uh, New England is his destination. At least that's what it's looking like for me. So I think it'll be a two-team race, and I think it'll just come down to health. Not predicting it's too early, but I think Miami will be in full rebuild mode, just like they are. And then I don't know about the Jets. I don't know what they'll be necessarily. When we jump to the AFC South, and this without looking at any moves today or any reported tentative moves, um, you kind of don't know, right? I know it's probably going to come down to the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars once again. I think Jacksonville has the ability to retain a lot of their players, and then they made the playoffs without Travis Hunter, basically, and so hopefully he'll be back and healthy in his second year, and you'll see what they do. And then Houston, they're going to field very much the same defense. They resigned Daniel Hunter, making him a $40 million edge rusher, and his money will come off the books pretty soon because he is getting a little long in the tooth. But I guess they rewarded him for doing what he's done. It'll be time to pay Will Anderson, and so they'll just slide Hunter's money over to Will Anderson when it's time. A lot of people have questions about C.J. Stroud. I don't. I just think his offensive line has been bad, which then, of course, impacts him. And I will agree he has not looked the same. But I just think his offensive line has been bad, and then his weaponry on the outside has been consistently in and out the lineup. And so we'll see. I think by the end of next year, you'll know what he is and what he isn't. But I think right now, that division absolutely is coming down to the Texans and the um, Jaguars. Would the Colts have something to say about it? I don't think so. I think that with Daniel Jones having that ACL tear, he won't be ready to start the season, I don't believe. And if he is, he can't be 100%. And I just think he won't replicate what you saw from him last season. And I think that the Colts won't put the same version of themselves on the field. And then with the Tennessee Titans, don't really know what they're going to do. They need an offensive line help. They need wide receiver help. And so you don't really know what they're going to do. And so we'll see. But I think it's too early for Tennessee just yet. And then we jump over to the AFC West. Um, the Chiefs have done some interesting things. I think they're rebuilding on the fly, or let's say retooling on the fly. And it's a perfect year to retool, especially with Patrick Mahomes being out with the ACL. You don't know when he's going to actually drop back into the lineup. And so you might as well just trade away some players, just get some draft capital because they will be back and they will be heard from. I believe Patrick Mahomes plays sometime this year, maybe around week 6. But I think you go ahead and rebuild. I think they have 2 first round picks this year. And if I remember correctly from looking at the draft and things of that nature, I think they have 3 of the top 40 picks. So good opportunity to replace Trent McDuffie with a younger corner, rookie deal. Good opportunity to get some offensive line help. Good opportunity to get some wide receiver help. So um, I think right now it's the Chargers. I think it's their division to lose. Let me say it that way. I think the Raiders are going to be more competitive, but they're clearly in a rebuild. All expectations. Let me pull my feed back up. Been talking for a little bit. I think all expectations from the Las Vegas Raiders is that they are going to. Let me pull up my personal feed. Let me refresh it. Um, that they're going to take Fernando Mendoza, and then with the Baltimore Ravens 14th overall pick, it's going to be interesting to see which way they go. Do they go offensive line, or do they go with something more exciting, like an edge rusher to replace Max Crosby? Super interesting to see. I think they're going to get a wide receiver in this free agency class. Let me see. Pittman was traded. Alec Pierce is off the board. Man, I don't know. I don't really know where they're going to go just yet, but I know they're going to have to get a vet wide receiver, something like that. So pretty interested to see what the Raiders do. All right, let me jump back over to these feeds. Let me see what news we got. Um, the Bears signed linebacker. Um, I don't know how to pronounce his name, so let's call him. I don't know. They signed a linebacker. Not a big name, not somebody that I recognize. That don't mean anything. I don't know every player in every league, but the Bears have made. I think this is their third signing thus far, or their third agreement. It's not a signing until it's official on Wednesday. But the Bears are making some noise. Let me see. Let me slide down, see who else is doing some things. See if we can see any big names. Let's see. The New York Giants are making another signing. What? What? The New York Giants, Baltimore Ravens fans, I am upset with this one. I'm more upset with this than the Giants getting. I'm not upset at all with the likely signing, but I cannot believe that the Baltimore Ravens allowed Jordan Stout to walk out of the door. Not 100% um, to know what they're doing. Jordan Stout, I thought, was one of the best punters in the league last season, and he's going to the Giants. But I guess when you offer more money, I'm interested to see what that deal was. But unless I read that wrong, Jordan Stout is going to the Giants. Matter of fact, just let me read it. See, Giants to sign punter Stout. Unless I'm just reading that wrong, but I'm pretty sure. Let me go down here to the article. Yeah, Ravens to Giants. They signing Jordan Stout. This is what I was meaning when I said last week, where some under the radar deals were not getting done when it was quiet in Baltimore. Again, I know that he was cooking up the deal with Max Crosby, and that's fine and well, but here we are. Here we are. So another what I believe is a big loss. This is a big loss for the Baltimore Ravens. And I know you don't make a big deal about a punter, but I do think that it's pretty significant. Um, I think it's pretty significant. Let's see, running back Gainwell to sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's a loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I thought Gainwell played super well for them last season. So Shout out to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man, for getting in, getting in on the getting and taking the running back away from the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's see here. Let me see if this is what I want to talk about right here. Mm, not really. No, I don't want to talk about that. I'm not talking about every deal because every deal is not going to be exciting. Let's see. Jets to sign veteran linebacker. Let's see. Mm, nah, but I did see that rumor. I did see a rumor that the Jets would sign Demario Davis. So they already signed Demario Davis, longtime Saints linebacker. Shout out to Demario, man, for being a dude of character and just playing great ball to late in his career for sure. Uh, Let me see. Okay, let me go back up to the top of the feed and see what we got going on. I can't believe that the Baltimore Ravens stubbed their toe on re-signing Jordan Stout. Cannot believe that at all. Let's see what we got going on here. See running back. I saw that one. Let's see what else we got. Let's go back up. Make sure we didn't miss any big news. Let's see here. Man, the dadgum Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man, they are dadgum busy. They are absolutely busy. They done signed another linebacker. That's like their third or fourth signing, man. So I don't know how much cap space they had, but they definitely using it for sure. Shout out to teams, man, who building a team quick, making a decision. I gotta get my phone up out of here. It's making too much noise. But shout out to teams, man, who getting it in, right? You knowing what you want to do, you go out and execute it and don't look back. Let's see, the New England Patriots are signing, and I'm gonna shout out teams who did it big um last season, and then here they are, ready to go. Oh, they're signing a fullback. I don't really know this guy, Gilman, but that's who they're signing, or I hope I pronounce his name correctly. Um, but hey, fullbacks need love too, right? Everybody getting a lot of dudes getting bread today. Let's see. Mm, Another punter getting paid. So a couple of punters, man, getting a bread today. Uh Punter by the last name Wright going to the Saints. Not a big deal to me, but hey, everybody eating today. I like it. Um I like to see dudes get their money. I do. I do. Um all right. Let's get back to our talking about the divisions. Let me pull up my feed and we'll rock out over here so I don't have to wade through those pop-ups. Pull this. All right, I'm about to redo this tonight so I get more feeds quickly. Nevertheless, so that's what I thought about the AFC. But now when we get over to the NFC, let's go to the NFC West. The NFC West ended up being one of the most competitive divisions in football last season, right? You had 49ers in the playoffs, Rams in the playoffs, and you had what's that other team? The Seattle Seahawks winning the Super Bowl. And so I think those three teams are going to be competitive once again. No question. And So then you got to begin to wonder, like, who's going to win that arms race? It's already clear that Seattle is the best team in the league, especially with that defense that they roll out and stun teams with. I mean, that defense is absolutely legit, uh, no joke, and it's fierce. It's fierce, and so I absolutely think that they're going to be back, no question. Um, the Rams played Seattle well last year. Let me say it that way. They played Seattle well last year, and I think that this year it's going to be some of the same. Um, I'm just wondering, can Seattle reproduce similar? Right? Will Sam Darnold reproduce? Right? Will and I think a big question is going to be what they do with the running back Walker. Will they get him back in house or will they let him walk? I think that's going to be the question. Looks like the Bears now as I'm talking, the Bears are signing. Um, oh wait a minute, that flipped. Okay, look like the Bears are signing safety. Last name Bryant. Don't know who that is necessarily. Let me look down here. 'Cause I know that ain't Kobe Bryant because Kobe Bryant is a cornerback. Let me see. And it is Kobe Bryant. They got him listed as a safety, but I'm pretty sure he plays corner. But either way, man, big time signing for the Chicago Bears. Actually, Kobe Bryant was somebody that I wanted. So even as I was just talking about Seattle, some of their main players are getting picked off. That probably opens the door. If Kobe Bryant is leaving in free agency, that absolutely opens the door for Tariq Woolen to go back there. That only makes sense. You cannot lose Kobe Bryant and Woolen in the same offseason and expect to do the exact same thing you did last year. So that probably opens the door for them to do that. Um, Let's see here. Commanders make a signing, cornerback Robertson. Uh, Not really gonna get into that one. Because the Commanders, man, they have a problem at quarterback. And we'll talk about um Daniels when we get to that division specifically. But they do. They have a problem at quarterback, and it's not because he's not a good player. But with Seattle losing Kobe Bryant is a big deal. But of course, it's not over. And so we'll see. We'll see what gets done from this point. But I think they've kind of pulled away. The Rams and the Seattle Seahawks have kind of pulled away from the the 49ers. The 49ers has gone to several Super Bowls over the last years, but I think that time probably has come to an end. Um, Christian McCaffrey is getting a little long in the tooth. Brock Purdy has been consistently injured, and their wide receiver room is going to be decimated. I do believe they resigned Juwan Jennings. He's a big time playmaker for them last year, so I do see them bringing him back. But I think Seattle and um, the Rams have pulled away from the 49ers. Arizona, as you all know, Arizona has released Kyler Murray. He's one of the top 20 free agents in this class. I think he ends up in Minnesota. And if I haven't mentioned that yet, let me get into that. Minnesota Vikings fans, if you happen to hear this uh, somewhere over the next couple of days and you guys haven't signed Kyler Murray, shout out to your head coach, Kevin O'Connell. Say, Tell them to get Murray in town. I'm gonna tell you why in a minute. Call your owner, call your GM, say, hey, let's get Murray. Now here's why. Murray is a good quarterback, but that's all he is. Being drafted number one overall, you're expected a lot of times to be great. But he has a great skill set to be able to run it and throw it, big time arm, fast. But he's only a good quarterback when healthy. Here's the deal. All you need him to be in Minnesota is good. That's all you need him to be. You're not going to have to pay him a lot of money because he still owed a lot of money from Arizona. And then when you look at Justin Jefferson and Addison and Naylor, you got an okay offensive line and you got a solid defense and you have a draft coming up. And so you're going to put him in a controlled environment, 8, 9 games a year at home. The environment is controlled. When you go play Detroit in Detroit, that environment is also controlled. So when you look at it, 9-ish, 10-ish games per season is going to be in a controlled environment. Now all you need him to do is pull off 2 wins, 2, 3 wins in the division, or at least 2 wins on the road. That's it. And you need to give Justin Jefferson a chance to be great again. He's great, but without great quarterback play or without good quarterback play, it has lessened his impact. And so I think Kyler Murray should end up in Minnesota. I think Tua should end up in Atlanta, and I think, like I said, Malik Willis is going down to Miami. And so in that NFC North division, it's a toss up right now. I think Chicago, who's had to make some big adjustments. Of course, they traded away DJ Moore. They got some draft compensation for that. They released Terrell Edmonds, uh, and a 100 tackle inside linebacker. They lost their starting center, although they traded for one, and then they made some signings today. So they're adding back to their puzzle, even though they're losing pieces to that puzzle. And so I think right now Chicago should still be the favorite. I think that Green Bay, dependent upon what version of Michael Parsons comes back next year, I think that they're in second place. Minnesota, and I'm still putting Detroit in last place, only because I'm not sure. Detroit is getting expensive, right? But I don't see a real way, other than the draft, for them to get better. Well, then you have to rely heavily on draft pick. Actually, no, no, no. Let me switch it. I'm going Detroit and then Minnesota, but I think it will be a competitive division as I'm thinking more about it because they did maintain a lot of what they already had. Let's see. The Falcons sign a punter. Hey, if you can kick, hey, fans of NFL teams, instead of teaching your kid to play wide receiver, quarterback, teach them to punt the ball. More punters have been paid today than I've seen in a long time. This is just day one. I'm looking at the third punter get a new deal. The Falcons are signing punter Pilardi, and he's been around the league for a little bit. Couple different teams, and so shout out to the punters, man. Keep getting your bread, keep stacking your chips for sure. The Lions are signing center Cade Mays from the. Wait a minute. No, 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 no. That might be wrong. Let me refresh. Make sure I got the right feed. Yeah, I think they are signing Cade Mays. So the first center that I can recall today is coming off the board. So that puts the Carolina Panthers, who we'll talk about shortly. One of the teams that I watch because I'm originally from Carolina. Um, it puts them in a little bit of a bind. Looks like they may be going into the draft to get them a punter. Let me see what Cade Mays got, being that the best center on the market has not signed yet. Mm, his terms have not been released yet. So, um, but it's official. But it's official that he is signing with the Detroit Lions. So Detroit make their first big signing this offseason. Let me get a little bit of beverage break. Let me go with the Gatorade. No, not endorsed by Gatorade. All right, let's get back into it. Oh, let me show that's power. That's Gatorade. I thought I had the Powerade. Nevertheless, um, let's keep going around these divisions, man. Let's go to the NFC East. I think the East is going to be competitive this year. Last year it really just came down to the Philadelphia Eagles, and it was over early in that. Sorry about my phone. Don't have time to get it out of here. I may end this stream and start another one here in a minute because we're working on. Let me check the time. I think we're tapping in right around an hour, and yeah, we're tapping in right around an hour. We're gonna go to around 2 o'clock, and then we're gonna tap back in at around 3 o'clock. But nevertheless, man, when we looking at the NFC East, it's really a division that came down to one team, and it was over early. About week 10, week 11, that division was over. The Philadelphia Eagles had it wrapped up, and the Philadelphia Eagles are always an interesting team, man, because they will make the moves they need, fill holes that they need, whether hook or crook, whether trade, get them off the street, or draft. They do what they need to do, man, and they put a team on the field consistently that will win. I think that they're going to get a nice haul for AJ Brown, that being the Eagles. I talked about him earlier, and I think that they're gonna pull two wide receivers out of this draft. I believe that. Listen, dude, the Falcons have made another signing, which we'll talk about when we get to that division. But when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles, they just signed Jordan Davis to a big time extension. They had to. Their next up, unless they've already signed him, and I'm just unaware of it, is going to be Nolan Smith. Um, and then you got the two young corners that they drafted last year who are still playing very well. And they're probably going to keep Blankenship, the safety. And so they're going to put a nice team on the field. Okay. The Commanders, I think, have more questions than they're going to answer this year. Number one question is, can Daniels stay healthy? But with that crazy offensive line they have, that's a huge question mark. He played so well his rookie season, took a step back because of injuries, and so it's interesting to see what he's going to look like in year 3. But McLaren stays hurt. Um, there's a question about the number 2, the question about tight end, question about defense. So I don't think the Commanders are going to be um, competitive this season. I just don't see how they can. Too many questions to answer, and it's hard to answer as many questions as they have in the draft. But nevertheless, I think the New York Giants, I think the New York Giants are going to be competitive. I'm not saying they're going to win anything. I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs, but I think they will be more competitive, especially if they can get Cam Scatterbull back healthy, especially if they can get Malik Neighbors back healthy, which all signs are pointing to they both will be back. Jackson Dart will be in his second season, but we understand the sophomore slump is apparently a real thing. They're going to have some questions about the offensive line, and um, their defense is going to be straight, right? They got three edge rushers. All three of them can go get the quarterback. You got Lawrence in the middle. He can go get the quarterback. So I think that if they have a defensive scheme that utilizes what they have in house, I think that they're going to be super competitive. I give them one more year before they are talking about winning that division. I think that they're going to trade one of the edge rushers not named Abdul Carter. It's probably going to be Kayvon Thibodeau. Since Brian Burns is the veteran, I think that if they trade Thibodeau, it's probably going to be for a second or a third. But I think they're going to have a good draft. They have like a top five pick. I think they go with Styles, the linebacker, who is 6'4", runs a 4.4, 640, sideline to sideline, solid in coverage, super athletic. I think that's who they draft. If not, they're going to draft the safety Downs. Um, but I think they're going to go defense in that first round. Let's see, my feeds are still running. Let me see what we got right here. Mm, let me catch up with some of the news, and then we'll come back and keep talking about the the NFC East. Let me see what this news is right here. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. It's moving too fast. Let's see if we can catch up with it, guys and gals. Uh, hmm. I didn't. Wait a minute. Let me make sure this is right. Hmm. I thought that was gonna say Brees Hall signed with somebody, but I don't think he did. Let's see here. Let me see. We saw that news. Wait a minute. Did we see this one? Mm, that's why I didn't read it. Atlanta has made another signing, so Atlanta is super busy today for sure. They're trying to get their work done early. Let's see. The Tennessee Titans is signing the former New York Giants tight end Bellinger, which makes sense that Bellinger is going to be departing because he's being replaced with Isaiah Likely. Definitely, I've seen, of course, as a Ravens fan, we watched Isaiah Likely perform, so I definitely think it's an upgrade for the New York Giants. And so let's just jump back to the Giants since we were already talking about them. The reason why I think they're going to be competitive and on the come up is because the one thing a young QB needs is what? A playmaking tight end. And so signing Isaiah Likely is going to be big for Jackson Dart. I mean, he already has other weapons. Cam Scatterboo is one of the better receivers out of the backfield. He can run between the tackles. He has better than average speed. He's not elite with speed, but he has good speed. Then you add Isaiah Likely, you add Malik Neighbors on the outside. They're gonna add a wide receiver in this draft. Now, if Carnell Tate is available, they could absolutely go with Carnell Tate, and then that would give the young quarterback man a dynamic duo at the wide receiver position. And then, of course, like I said, that defense is going to be straight. So I think the Giants, because they have all their picks and they have a dude or two that they could trade and get some more capital, I think they're gonna be on the come up fast. but they got to get that offensive line figured out as well. When you go over to another team that I have not talked about yet today, and I have not seen them make a signing, that's the Dallas Cowboys. Now, every year, the Dallas Cowboy fan base believes it's what? Their year, right? And every year, they let Stephen A. clown them right out of the playoffs. And the one year they made it, they got their head busted wide open by the Green Bay Packers. I think this is their year. Now, am I saying their year to go to the Super Bowl? Not yet. But what I am saying is when they traded Micah Parsons, the Green Bay Packers sent them back a really solid run defender. Then they turned around and traded for Quentin Williams, which makes that defensive line really solid. Now, they got some questions on the second level and the third level, but this is just day one of the tampering period, so we'll see what they do. Let's see what we got going on here. Big time news for the Baltimore Ravens. Um, like I told you that Tyler Lindenbaum was going to end up with the Raiders. Tyler Lindenbaum is signing with the Raiders, signing with the Las Vegas Raiders. All reports say that right now. Both my feeds are saying that. Let me go down here and check the clip. This is being reported by. Let me make sure that my source is correct. Let's see. Mm, oh, it done flipped again. Hold on. This is by Adam Schefter, so it's pretty certain that it's correct that Tyler Lindenbaum is going to be going to the Raiders. He reached a deal. I don't see the terms in this report right yet. I will try to find that out and I will report it as soon as we come back live at 3 o'clock. But Tyler Linderbaum leaving the Ravens as I predicted that he would. I said that because the Raiders are getting a brand new quarterback, he would need, that being Fernando Mendoza, he will need a smart, athletic center to handle the upfront protections, calls, things like that. And so the Baltimore Ravens lose another major free agent once again. But it's still early, so we'll see. We'll see. Interested to see what that deal is. I'll try to get that information and bring that when we come back live at um at 3 o'clock. Let's see. Uh, Cardinals making a small move, bringing back a running back. All right, so Baltimore Ravens, we got some work to do. Yeah, we was excited about Max Crosby, but it's just what I said. I said that a Max Crosby trade would not allow them to re-sign other major players. Super interested to see what that Tyler Lindenbaum deal is. Let me check my phone so I can check the time. We got about another 12 minutes to tap in. I'm going to take a break, get some food, and then we're going to get right back in here and we're going to run from 3 to about 4:30. And then we'll come back in the morning and be back on the grind. We'll be live tomorrow. Excuse me. We'll be live tomorrow twice. Matter of fact, we may go at 3:30 instead to 5 o'clock. Because things seem to settle down when it's time to get off work. So we'll see, man. We'll see what the Baltimore Ravens are going to do, how they're going to respond. All right. So we'll talk more. We'll talk in depth about some of the big signings from a Baltimore Ravens perspective, and then we'll talk about it from a contending perspective as well. But back to what I was saying, Cowboys fans, I think it's your year. The Dallas Cowboys on purpose put the tag on George Pickens. He was absolutely amazing. And it's always interesting what new scenery can do for a player. Watching George Pickens from a Baltimore Ravens standpoint, I was always afraid when we would play him, especially when he was healthy, because he was so explosive. You can see his explosiveness. It's like he's moving in a whole nother gear. And you could see that on full display when he got to Dallas. And so, with a guy who can put the ball wherever he wants to in Dak Prescott, the Dallas Cowboys do not hurt for throwing the ball. They do not. They throw it a lot. So when you got George Pickens and a CD Lamb, and you got a pretty good offensive line, because when you can win a game with four backup offensive linemen, that means your offensive line is pretty good. So, um, interested to see what else the Dallas Cowboys do. They have a high draft pick. I believe they're going to go defense with that draft pick. And again, this is just the first couple of hours of the tampering period. So Dallas has a long off season, but I think it's Dallas's year. I do. With what they did along that defensive line with some trades last year, what they're going to do in the draft, and what they did with keeping George Pickens, I think they're going to get a deal done and be able to open up some of that money that's locked into that tag. And I do think it's Dallas's year. I do. I absolutely do. No, I don't. I think that they have absolutely a great chance. That's crazy because as I'm talking about Dallas, as I'm talking about Dallas, a news article pops up that they are looking into uh, safety Thompson. Let me see where he plays because I don't recognize his name. Let's see here. Mm, he must play for the he must have played for the Arizona Cardinals. I don't recognize his name right off, but I don't know much about the Cardinals either. You know, when you think Cardinals, you think Kyler Murray, but other than that, but I think it's Dallas's year. I think that when you saw the Eagles take a step back offensively basically the entire year, you saw them struggle in some aspects along that offensive line. You saw them have some holes defensively on occasion. And I think that because of that, I think what will happen is when you line up Lamb and Pickens, and this is with no draft, when you just line up those two dudes, you can't double one or the other. You can't. So you got to have a scheme, a plan devised. I think it's too early for the Giants. I think it's too early for the Commanders. So it's just going to come down to the Eagles. And if Dallas can stay out of their own way, I think it may be their year for real. I think I'm predicting right now the Dallas Cowboys to win the NFC East. Now, barring some kind of crazy injury, barring a Dak Prescott trade, I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to win that division and probably slot in. Let me see here. Probably slot in at the third seed. Um, and I'm thinking about it right now. Let's jump to the NFC South before our time runs out. But the NFC South was a division that was kind of wacky, if I can use that word. It's a division that nobody wanted to win. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who made several moves today, they were the division favorite. They were playing very well. I think they had won it like 3 or 4 years in a row. And then they just started doing stuff. right? Doing stuff that didn't make sense, losing, throwing interceptions, turning the ball over, getting beat by teams that should have beat. And it came down to a game against the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons beat them, and the Carolina Panthers backed into the win in that division. That's no bang on the Carolina Panthers because you had to be in position to even capitalize on that win. Now the Carolina Panthers could have took care of their business uh 2 weeks earlier or something like that, but because they lost to Tampa, it put their playoff life in somebody else's hands. And so Carolina won that division last year. The New Orleans Saints were not good last year, but I think they found their quarterback of the future in Tyler Shuck. Um, Not sure what they're going to do at the wide receiver position. You got some guys that's coming up. You got Chris Olave, and he's coming up for a new contract. Will they pay him? Will they not? I think they're moving on from, or have already moved on from, Alvin Kamara. So that's going to be a reset right there. They have a high draft pick, so we'll see. But I think right now, when you look at that division, I think that it's still gonna be Tampa Bay's to lose. Although the Carolina Panthers did win it, the way that they won it doesn't really move me. I don't think that the Carolina Panthers are great at rushing the passer just yet. I don't think they're great at stopping the run just yet. And at times, they're not great offensively. That offense that they got down there in Carolina stalls out too much. I don't think Bryce Young is that great. Carolina Panthers, forgive me for saying it unless you agree with it, but I don't think he's that great. He has not been that great. And because of that, that defense is on the field too much and they look beat down, lethargic at times. And so you kind of want to see what the Carolina Panthers are going to do before you can say they can repeat. But right now, Tampa and Atlanta has been, you know, handling their business. The Atlanta Falcons are going to sign, by all reports, they're going to sign Tua. That mixes Tua with, and I just not thought about it, but that mixes him with Kevin Stefanski. I think he'll be able to put his offensive geniusness on display, and I think that you will be able to see something coming out of Atlanta. I think, no, matter of fact, now that I think about it, if Tua's healthy, Atlanta's the favorite in that division. Um, They'll have to figure out what they're going to do at the tight end position for sure. But I think Atlanta is the favorite. And now that I'm thinking about it, if they truly get Tua, Drake London's healthy, if they let Kyle Pitts walk, they still got some other pieces. I think Atlanta's the favorite, Tampa second, Carolina third, and New Orleans brings up the rear. But in that division, it's always um, coming down to the last few games, and I think it's going to be what the Carolina Panthers do over the next 7 to 10 days that decide. I don't think it's going to be the draft. I don't put too much stock in a draft unless you're in that top 15, because those guys are typically impact players year one, or expected to be. Carolina Panthers lost their left tackle at the end of last season. Iquano, who's going to miss the whole season basically. Tyler Moulton, the right tackle, is supposed to be retiring, so I just don't know. So they have trench work to do, and I just think Atlanta and Tampa are a better roster right now. So that's where it's at. So listen, guys, I'm gonna get up out of here. We'll be back shortly to see what else we can talk about as it pertains to these signings. Baltimore Ravens fans, we will start with us first. And what are we gonna do now that uh, the prediction that Tyler Lindenbaum is going to be leaving, it has come true. And so I don't think we should panic. I don't think it's going to be as bad as um, what some may indicate. Is it a loss? Yes. Is it a big loss? Maybe, maybe. But I don't think it's as it is as bad as projected, because again, with getting with getting Max Crosby and taking on that 30 to $35 million salary, I think that you have to consider that um, that put a damper on your ability to retain Lyndon Baum. And so it kind of is what it is, right? It's move. Oh dang, pop up. Oh, I done messed up my stream. Oh my goodness, I done lost my whole stream. I know I'm still on here. I see the recorder still recording. There we go. But give me 1 second, fans. I'll be right back. Uh, and that's not fans like fans of me. That's Ravens fans. I'll be right back. Let's see. Let's see here. Where is my where's my shortcut at? So anyway, so when we start thinking about, you know, again, losing Tyler Lindenbaum, it's not something that I am distraught over because in truth, I expected it, I predicted it, and in fact, I said that they shouldn't keep him if that price is going to be astronomical. And so he's gone. I'm glad he got his bag. You always want people to get their money for sure. And I just wish that we had a got a safety, not safety. What the word? I always don't got no safety. I wish we had got a center before a couple of them have already signed their deals. But it kind of is what it is.